mention is that IGF and insulin are so closely related to each other that they actually act on each other receptor to some level.
So that's a thing that happens, like closely related hormones will act on each other's receptor?
Mm-hmm.
So does growth hormone and prolactin do that at all?
No.
No? They're too far apart.
No, except that maybe like really high doses, but no, that would not be
Okay.
the case. But in this case, that
so
is
they're
the situation.
so close
They're so close
that they
okay?
can actually...
Not completely, okay? I mean, no, the insulin receptor has more affinity for insulin than for IGF, and the reverse is true as well, okay?
So that's why
but
you
do
named
have
them
some,
that.
yeah, right, but you do have overlap between the two. Okay, so again, I mean, the receptors are, look at this. I mean, the receptors are 85% similar to each other. Okay, that's a pretty high level of similarity. Okay, and again, the result of this, as we have here, is that IGF has some affinity for the insulin receptor, so it's going to bind to the insulin receptor, and the same for insulin has some affinity for the IGF-1 receptor, so some insulin is going to bind to the IGF receptor.
Okay.
Okay, and that's kind of something that you want to keep in mind, because what we will see in a minute is that you actually have some overlap between the effect of growth hormone and the effect of insulin.
But wait a second.
Okay.
I thought growth hormone had the opposite effect as insulin. You told me that earlier.
On glycemia.
But not on other things?
Not on other things. Yeah.
This is getting really complicated.
I know it's very complicated, okay, but some effects are similar, and some effects are not similar. And actually, that's what I have on this slide. Okay. Now, I'm coming back to insulin for a minute, and this is kind of confusing. Okay, but you remember that insulin, we discussed that when we talked of sort of the physiological effect of insulin. It's got multiple effects on cells. Okay, and one of the effects, this is like the main effect that most of us do associate with insulin, is to stimulate glucose absorption into your cells.
So take the glucose out of the blood,
into the
cell.
And put it into the cell, so you can use it for making glycogen or whatever.
This is the effect that growth hormone has the opposite of?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
But on the other hand, remember that, and we again discussed that insulin has what we call a mitogenic effect.
Okay.
Stimulates cell division, and this is mediated by these, my IRS, okay, insulin receptor substrate. Remember that?
Not the Internal Revenue Service?
Not that one. No, the other one. And so you've got like a whole different sort of class of effects of insulin, which is to stimulate mitosis, cell division, tissue growth. Okay, this is the same effect that IGFs have.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a similarity between the two. All right?
So that's where the overlap comes in.
That's where your overlap comes.
Okay.
All right, so I know it's kind of complicated, okay, but remember we are still talking of how you regulate your secretion of growth hormone, okay? And so far we have somatostatin, GHRH, ghrelin, IGF, okay? Hope everybody's kind of keeping track of what's going on. Are you okay with that? Make sense?
Mostly okay.
Mostly okay.
I think we should talk about it a little more. Let's get into this a little farther, Pierre.
Okay. Well, actually, the next step is that growth hormone is also regulated by a whole bunch of other things. Okay, and I've got them listed here. And I think that once we studied the physiological effects of growth hormone, what we have on this slide is going to make a lot of sense to you.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to sort of list them for right now, and we may want to come back to them and make sure that it does make sense physiologically, because it does.
So don't worry too much about why does this do that
Don't worry
now.
too much about why.
Okay.
Just make sure that you understand that growth hormone is also regulated by physical exercise. So each time you go running and you exercise, your growth hormone goes up.
Okay, that seems to make sense. You grow bigger muscles when you're exercising.
Yeah, how about that?
Strong.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Okay, what about getting old? Okay, and sitting on the couch and watching TV?
Well,
not good for your growth hormone. That's bad. Okay, that's very bad. You shouldn't do that. Don't watch too much TV. Okay?
And don't get old.
And don't get old. Okay, number one. Growth hormone is also stimulated by stress.
So why doesn't everyone in undergrad have giant muscles then? They're all stressed out.
Well, because to really have the effect of growth hormone, you must also exercise.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
It's not
fine.
just not enough to just add growth hormone to the body. It gets more complicated than that.
Oh.
Okay. Growth hormone is also stimulated by fasting. And this is something that by now should not really surprise you because remember we talked of glucose, hypoglycemia, fasting, okay, and this stimulates your growth hormone secretion, okay. And growth hormone is also stimulated by sleep.
Pierre, sleep seems exactly the opposite to physical exercise to me.
It does, and yet growth hormone goes up during the night when you sleep. Okay, that's why it's a good idea to have.
So we should take a lot of naps?
Yes, that's one reason, but you actually see this here. So this is a graph where we have in red, okay, you see that in red? Okay, these are like changes in growth